So it is Sunday, and we didn't really have much that was supposed to be going on today. And then it turned into somewhat of an eventful day, but just by crappy luck. You can hear my husband is still out in the garage working on the soon-to-be new office. It's 9 o'clock on Sunday night. He had bought a new hot water heater because we needed it to replace the one that was out there before we started this renovation. And I felt so bad because took him 2 hours to replace this water heater. And we didn't have water all morning, which was fine. It was no big deal. I just couldn't do the laundry or whatever. And so I just waited until he told me he was going to turn the water back on. So he says, I'm turning the water back on. So I start a load of laundry. And then I hear obscenities being shouted in the garage, and I go out and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, the water heater is leaking. And I said, well, what do you mean it's leaking? It's brand new. And he says, well, it's leaking, it's broken, there's something wrong with this. So he goes through and looks at all of his handiwork to see if this was his fault or if this was a defective water heater. And so he's reading through everything, and he's calling the number on the water heater itself, and then calling Home Depot. And turns out he installed a defective water heater, and it started to spill out of the top of this water heater. Just water started just gushing out. And it was like, oh dear Lord. So there's, he's attaching wires. It's like, oh my God, you're going to electrocute yourself. I was like, please stop. So he stops and shuts everything off, and then obviously turns the water off to the house again. So we had no water today from first thing this morning through, he just turned it back on about 15 minutes ago. And there won't be hot water till tomorrow, which none of this is a big deal, right? Like, it's inconvenient. I still have to do dishes and start laundry, but it really made me think about how people across the globe don't even have fresh water to use. So I was like, it's okay that we're inconvenienced for today. But one of the other reasons that I don't like him working on projects is not because he can't do the project. He can. He is so balls to the wall when he starts a project that's all he'll do until he's finished now. So like, I haven't seen him for days, and it's because he's working on this, and then I'm with the kids all by myself the entire time. And we had a rough day today with the kids. There was a lot of fighting this morning between them. And then, my youngest, who's autistic, he, for those of you who are new to the blog, he has brain damage from a birth injury. So he's on the spectrum. He has some other things. He has some behavioral things, all stuff that we're working through. So he goes from 0 to rage in 0.2 seconds. It is really like the Hulk. And so he got into it with his siblings today, and it was just this massive meltdown. And it took forever to get him calmed down, and it took forever to talk through the hitting and the name calling and all of the issues. And, then after the meltdown, he is exhausted. I am exhausted. He takes a nap. But it's just, it's a whole different kind of tired when you finish one of those meltdowns, because you're just mentally and physically exhausted. And sometimes we don't have those we'll have 1 or 2 or 3 in a week. Sometimes there's only 1, sometimes there's 7, it just depends. And for whatever reason, lately, he's been having them more frequently and wetting the bed more frequently. And so one of the issues today was he had wet the bed, and so I didn't have water, and I couldn't wash the sheets, and needed to wash his sheets and his Burley pad. And so I had to go over to Eric and Trey's house. We were having dinner with them anyway, so I washed laundry at their house, which I'm lucky that I could just do that. But it was a long day. Not a bad day, just a long day with lots of different things going on. But if you are a parent who has a child that has some different needs, some extra needs. And I just wanted to say to you, you're not alone. There are a lot of us out here who are trying to figure this out as we go, and the journey is, wrought with trials and tribulations. But when you have a child who has these breakdowns and meltdowns and just exhausts themselves in you, I feel you. I just want you to know I feel you. It is exhausting. And we keep talking to him about choices and how he is the one that is in control of his emotions, but at times he's just not in control of his emotions, and he's not in control of his choices. And we work through it, and we work through it, and we work through it, but by the end of the day, you're just exhausted. So, I feel ya. I feel ya. I really do. So it was a long Sunday, but made me realize the importance of water. And it made me realize, and the ability that we're just so blessed to have it all the time and not even think about it. And, made me think about all the other parents with kids with different needs out there. When you're struggling, please know you're not alone. Because it was one of those days over here, and I knew I wasn't alone, even though I was. I knew I wasn't, because I know you're out there. So happy Sunday, March 18th. Here we go, Monday. Monday.